Hey everyone, Kaitlin here. Welcome back to another episode of Baldwin Breakdowns, where we're looking at big concepts, big ideas, and lots of big feelings in 10 minutes or less. And so people pleasing is today's topic or concept, which is, I think, a very familiar term. A lot of people will label themselves as people pleasers. So I'm actually really excited to get into what this looks like, but more specifically, why this might come up and kind of what the function is of like people pleasing behavior. So just off the bat, to go through some examples, I think probably most people have an idea in their head of what people pleasing looks like, but it can show up in really different ways, in some ways that we might not immediately think as like obvious people pleasing behavior. So people pleasing might be like overly apologizing for things that you haven't done wrong or that you aren't actually sorry for. You might frequently say yes to things or have trouble saying no to things. And so this also might look like taking on or helping a lot of people, if not like all people, with whatever concerns, challenges, tasks that they're facing. Um, and often what ends up happening amongst people pleasing behavior is that the person doing the people pleasing ends up feeling very overwhelmed. And that's where I have like the This Is Fine comic, because it's kind of like there's so much pressure from all these different tasks and things that you've taken on. And it's not fine. It's like you're in a burning building, but you have this face that you put on for everyone else of like, no, 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 this is totally okay. I can tolerate this. This is not a problem at all. So those are some examples of people pleasing, and there are many more. And this can show up. I've actually had it recently show up with some of my clients in specific dynamics of like relationships, or around things like consent and not feeling comfortable saying no, or expressing boundaries. So people pleasing is often a lot of kind of saying things to keep the peace and to agree with the other person rather than asserting your own needs. So often when I think of people pleasing, or not often actually, I just thought of it when I was walking into the office today, but I kind of think of those old cartoons where there's a character and maybe there's a leak coming out of a pipe. And so they kind of put one hand up to cover that leak, and then it starts leaking from another place. And so they put their other hand over there, and they use their feet, and they're kind of fully stretching themselves wide to stop all these leaks and cracks that come out. And eventually they can't, because you just quite literally don't have enough of you. You don't have enough limbs to block all these cracks. So I thought of that because people pleasing and the function of that type of behavior is often to deal with or try and offset the discomfort that comes from two things. One, being disliked, and two, any type of tension or conflict. And the problem, and why I thought of this like kind of water leaking or spurting out, is that being disliked is inevitable. There's no way for every single person in the world to like you, or to like you, fully and not have any issues with you. And it's inevitable that there's going to be tension and conflict. Like we are humans with different ideals, different opinions, different backgrounds. There will always be opportunities for people to disagree and to be in conflict with each other. So people pleasing is this act of trying to reduce the discomfort. So if I feel really, really comfortable when people are upset with each other, I'm going to say something to, to kind of appease maybe both of these people and get them to stop arguing. And then I'm like, oh, okay, wow, we're back to a good state. Everything's fine now. They're not upset anymore. But maybe the thing that I've said is actually kind of a betrayal of myself. Maybe it's I said something that I don't believe in, or I said something that diminished me or my worth. So it provides this kind of temporary relief of the discomfort. And so what I want to do in the next couple minutes is just talk about why people pleasing can be destructive. Maybe destructive is the wrong word, but why it can be difficult and kind of create more problems in the long run. So this image I have from, I think the first Baldwin breakdowns video I ever did, and I posted similar things on my Instagram page as well, so I'll link that original video here. But so in this graphic, we're talking about moving towards our values and the things that we care about, or moving away from them. And people pleasing is often going to be on the away side. So that kind of circle at the bottom is the initial situation. So let's say again, it's those, two friends of ours that are arguing with each other back and forth. And so there's this conflict in the situation, and I might immediately feel uncomfortable and I'm worried and I'm like, oh my God, are they gonna escalate even further? What's gonna happen? Blah blah blah. So because I care about, peace and friendship and, maybe even communication, whatever, um, I might say that thing again that will appease the argument, that will make both these people kind of stop the conflict. And this is where it provides that temporary relief. And I say temporary in particular because if I'm saying something that is betraying my own needs and doing it in an impulsive way, um, then ultimately I'm probably going to feel even worse later on. So yeah, I've gotten rid of this immediate discomfort, and now my two friends are no longer arguing, but I feel worse about myself in response. And so the kind of circle that I have here where it says impulsive, avoid, and freeze, these are the types of actions that we will make when we're moving away from our values. So we will act impulsively by, quickly saying something and jumping in to people please and to alleviate that discomfort. Or we might persistently avoid something. So maybe there, is a conflict between me and another person, but I'm just not going to bring it up to not create any more conflict. So I'm avoiding this thing. Or we might freeze. So in situations where, maybe someone asks something of us that we really want to say no to, but we just freeze and we're just like, I don't want to say no to this person. So those types of actions, again, they provide this temporary relief, or they can sometimes feel like we're not going to make the situation worse, which, feels favorable, but ultimately it pulls us away from our values compared to kind of acting in a committed way that is honest and genuine to ourselves. So that's people pleasing, and I will catch you guys on another episode of Baldwin Breakdowns.